my name is Kristen. I run the onboarding team here at Houzz. So depending what package level you're on, you could be interacting with someone from our onboarding team. But excited to be here. The main point of today's session is just to make sure I can really show everyone how to streamline your selections and procurement process for you, your designers, whoever will be using these tools. But let's go ahead and jump right in. I'm going to share my screen. So give me one moment while I navigate.
Well, Kristen gets that going. I just launched a poll. I see some of you are already answering it. Thank you very much. The poll will help us direct the discussion and direct what Kristen shows us all. So thank you. Good to become more fluent in Houzz Pro. That's what we expect, and that's why we're here.
Great. Just to confirm, are you seeing my screen perfectly fine here? Great. Okay. So jumping right in, a few things, a few main topics we're going to be going through is how to pull in your items. Utilizing our Clipper, we're going to go through the selections board, our selections tracker, our global tracker. We'll also head into learning a little bit more about just briefly go through estimates and how it ties to some of these tools. We'll run into change orders, purchase orders, and then we'll add some extra things depending on how the flow of the meeting goes. But as mentioned, one of the first steps that we really want to do to get you situated and started is bring in products into the system. And the best way to do that is going to be with our Clipper tool, which is our smart sourcing tool. So just to show you and get started of how to get that added if you don't already have it into the system. So right now I'm just on my home page of my demo account. I'm going to navigate to the left-hand side. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to scroll down to this settings gear at the bottom left-hand side. And then on the right bar, you're going to see integrations. And we're going to head into that first option there, which is the Clipper tool. All right, so right up top, again, similar to what I was saying, again, this Clipper can ultimately help you pull in products from other websites, aside from just Houzz. So if you don't already have this added, I highly recommend you can follow along and get comfortable utilizing it. So up top, it says Get the Clipper. You'll click into that extension. I already have this added, but if you don't, you'll see an option to add to Chrome at the top right. And again, this is a Chrome extension. So if you're having any issues, you're not on Chrome, that may be why. We do want to make sure that you are navigating Chrome. And also that's the best way to utilize Houzz as well, is on a Chrome browser. But I'll give everyone a few moments to get this added, but it should be relatively quick. Once you have it added, you can go ahead and navigate back to Houzz, and I'm going to show you actually how to use the tool, pull the items in. But we try to make this as straightforward and seamless as possible, so that way you can not just bring in your items, but try to get them in relatively quickly. All right, so I'm going to go ahead.
One of the things I should have mentioned earlier. Hey, Meg, good to see you. If you have a question in your mind, someone else does too, so don't be shy. I'm going to keep myself off camera because it's a little distracting to have me turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. But if you have a question, don't be shy. This 90 minutes is for you. So speak up and let's use the Q&A tab, which is right next to chat. Okay. Sorry, Kristen, go ahead.
No, awesome. Thank you. Okay. Hopefully I gave everyone a little more time to get that Clipper added. But I'm going to jump right in, show you guys the magic of the tool. So I entered into a website. You can click into any one that you primarily utilize. For the demo, I'll show you two different ways that we can clip in items. So for this first one, I'm going to show you our smart sourcing capability with Clipper. This works on a variety of larger retailers, and it's an easy way to be able to bring items in, and we would go in and scrub that information for you. So once you have the Clipper added, you may not be able to see it on my window because I'm in an incognito mode, but there would be a little Houzz icon on the top right-hand corner. So I'll kind of move my mouse around a little bit so you can get the general idea. When you click on that icon, it's first going to ask you to sign in if you just downloaded it. So again, you would of course want to put in the login credentials for your demo account that you utilize. That way it knows which account to connect to. But I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. So On the right-hand side, again, it brought up that clipper bar. It's always going to live on the right-hand side. And you'll see that smart sourcing available. So if the site is compatible, I would recommend utilizing it. I'm going to go ahead and just click yes, but you can already see it started to scrub that information for me. So you can see what it did is it took this page and it pulled in the image and it pulled in a lot of the core information. So that way you didn't have to go through and pull it in, do that manually. But even if not, even if certain piece of information didn't pull in, it's really easy and seamless to be able to get it added. So a couple different ways we can do this. So you can see here that the cost isn't here. So we have this tool at the top. I'm going to go ahead and click there. It's our little smart sourcing pointer. And you can see as I'm going through the page, it's going to start to highlight certain fields. So I'm just hovering over this cost here. I'm going to go ahead and click, and it's going to pull up this bar here, and it's going to ask where we want this information added. So I'm just going to click on cost and add it there. So of course, this is a really quick example. I know it could be easy to go and type in a number, but it's really going to help when we're thinking about like the full picture of the item. Also, just like having to copy and paste back and forth can be a little tiresome. So this will be able to help take the effort out there. And then from here, even if it pulls the information automatically, you can still make any adjustment. So say you just want this to say Preston Sofa, you can delete the other information. And there's a lot of fields that you can populate as well, or any additional information that you can add to make it easier for yourself in the future. So all of these are going to be added into your library, which I'll show you in a moment. But you can add which category you want this item to fall under. If you've already started pulling in vendors into Houzz Pro or want to search for new ones, you can also select them here. So that way they attach directly, or create new vendors from here. You can select.
There's a question from the floor from Sophia about using the Clipper. She's downloaded it but can't get it to work. So could you go back one screen? Maybe she's stuck at the Clipper login screen.
Yes, and it'd be good to know which area, because I know that I was already logged in. But if you go to get the Clipper and add it, so if I go here, you would click add to Clipper. And then when you first open it, again, I'm already logged in, so I'd have to reset to be able to show that original sign-in screen again. But you would just, again, put in the credentials from your...
Okay. Sophia, I'll send you some links about how to set up the Clipper that you can keep for later. Helps in our article. It's a quick video.
Okay. Yeah. But again, for now, if anyone is having any issues, it'd be good just to be able to sit tight and be able just to at least watch how the flow goes. So that way, when you get it set up, we can make sure that you're able to utilize it in the best way possible. Okay. You can also select, once you have added to a project, you can select which room you want to add it to, which we'll kind of touch on how this connects a little later as well, and any additional information down below. So again, this is an example of an item or page that does have that smart sourcing, but I'm going to head and navigate to a page that doesn't have smart sourcing to show you that flow as well. But before we go, I'm going to go ahead and save this to Houzz Pro. Okay, and you just want to look out for this confirmation up top where it says great choice, that it was added to your library. Just to confirm, we want to make sure we have this saved to get that confirmation before logging it out of any page that you're on. Okay, I'm also on a different page, so just lights.com. Again, this one doesn't have smart sourcing available, but you could still quickly, seamlessly utilize the Clipper to pull in the information. So starting at the top, I'm going to select Clip Product Images. And what it's going to do, it's going to scrub that page for all the images, so that way you can easily add them. You can add multiple, but I'm just going to add one for right now. So say I want this to be my primary image on the item. I'll hit click, clip, and it'll add that there. And then what I'm going to do, again, you can use that smart pointer we're utilizing before, but also you could easily copy any piece of information and add it seamlessly as well without having to necessarily copy and paste. So I'm going to highlight this, and then you'll see this option here pulls up. So that same bar I was showing you before, and I'm going to click product title. I'm going to now hover over the cost and move this to cost. I'm going to scroll down, say I want to capture this for the client, for the description. I'm going to just highlight this and move this to description. And again, as you can see, I can just run down the page, simply transfer all of this information over, again, without having to copy and paste, things that would, be able to take more time. So, and then from here, I can go and make all the adjustments needed. But I'm going to go ahead and save this to Houzz Pro as well, just so we have a couple of items to be able to show on the reverse side. But again, that's the general layout of the clipper. But from just these couple of items, you can see again how quickly we're able to go through and pull them into the system. All right, so we just clipped those couple of items. Now I want to show you where they live and how you can utilize them in our system. So we're going to go back to Houzz. And then we're going to head to projects. So I'll give you all a moment. If you don't already have at least like a sample or test project created, I recommend creating a new project. You can just go ahead and click on new up top. And then we really just need the project name to be able to get started. But just to be able to follow along, I want to make sure as I'm going to be navigating through one of my test projects. Okay, so I'm going to head into a sample project I have. Okay, and we're going to, again, be going through this. But the first thing, before we jump in, again, I want to make sure everyone has a project, but also want to be able to show you the catalog where we can take a look also at those items that we just clipped along with your other items. So if we head over to company on the left-hand side, we're going to head to my items under this library bar. Okay, and then you'll be able to see these are the items that we had just clipped here automatically. So as soon as you click Save to Pro, it's ultimately going to jump into your library here under My Item. So along with that sofa and that chandelier, you can see that it pulled over the information that we had. But you can also, anytime you clip an item, it's not going to be set in stone. You can always go into the item again and make any edits that you need to. So there's some quick edit options here just from like the main screen. But if you scroll to the right-hand side, there's 3 dots here, and you can click Edit, and then it'll pull in all of those fields that we had when we're clipping the item. So you can still adjust the title, add any additional information that you missed beforehand. So again, if you clip an item and you're worried that you missed a certain piece of information, you can still do that and make any edits after. Okay, you can also add to favorites as well. I know that a lot of pros that I've worked with before like to work off of this, adding their main items. That way they have really quick access to it. So you also have that capability as well. All right, so we're going to go ahead and navigate now back into that project. So go into whichever project you want to work out of. I'm going to go back to my sample. And we are going to be covering selections board, selections tracker. So now that we have those items, oh yes.
Sorry, Kristen. There's one question from the floor about from Stacy about accessing the linked portion of this page. I think she's talking about the last page you were on.
Okay. Yes. So if you go to company on the left-hand side, you're going to go under library and then go to my items here. Okay. And then it's typically it defaults by recency. So the last couple that I just clipped that I was showing you guys would show up at the top here. So again, a couple things. One, you want to make sure, this is why you want to make sure when you're signing into that clipper that you utilize the same sign-in credentials that you use to access Houzz Pro. That way it's selecting to the right account. Also, the second thing that I had mentioned when I was going through the test is just want to make sure that you receive that confirmation note when you clip an item that says like, great, we added this to your library, just so you can verify that it was clipped correctly as well. But again, if those are aligned, then you should be able to see them here within your items. So hopefully that answers the question. Okay. So I'm going to head into my sample project. Okay. And now that we have the items, one big way that we can utilize them is to now create our selection board for our client. So say, we just won a full home remodel. Now we need to still kind of fine tune a few things, when we're thinking about like different rooms in that home, like the kitchen, bathroom. A big part of that is being able to, one, set a budget and get a buy-in from your client of, great, we're working the bathroom, like, can you select from these materials? Can you select a lighting fixture? Beforehand, a lot of those things we would have to do in person. So having to go either take all those swatches to your client, or have to find like an easy way to like send them a link or text them links. So this is going to really help like cut that process for you and make it really simple, easy, and easy to track. So I'm going to head to selections board in the project here on the left-hand bar. And again, this is once you're clicked into a project. Okay, and the first thing that I'm going to do is we're going to set a general budget for our boards. And this is one of the great pieces about this as well, is that it will help kind of track those financials and make sure that you and the client are all set. So at the top right-hand side, you're going to see a budget bar. I'm going to go ahead and click edit, and we'll make sure that we have project budget selected. And I just set it to 100,000, but again, you can add in whichever budget is applicable to your particular project. And this is ultimately, you can kind of see a little preview, is that as you go through and build out different boards and send out approval, that's going to help and manage that for you. I have one that's pre-built out, but I'm just going to show you from like the bare basics how you would go through creating a selection board as well. So I'm going to go to create new on either the left or the top right-hand side. I'm going to title this living room. Okay, and if you're working with team members, you can also use this as an access point to be able to assign them as well. But I'm just going to go ahead and move forward without assigning for the time being and click create. Okay, and it's ultimately going to create a blank space for you to work off of and really help bring your vision to life. So a couple things that we can, a couple options you can see here is that you can pull in a mood board that you've created either separately or through Houzz Pro. You can also pull in a 3D floor plan. You'll add in your products, services, and any images. You can also see these same features on the right-hand side. So I'm going to start up at the top though, under my items. Okay, and this is going to ultimately bring in that catalog that we were just looking at a moment ago. When I went to company and went to my items, you're also going to have direct access to that within the selections board feature as well. So you can see it's going to bring in the same flow as we saw when we were looking at my items there. And you can easily bring them in with just a click of the product. So say I wanted to bring in that chandelier, I'm going to go ahead and click. And I'm also going to go ahead and bring in that sofa. And you can add in any other features that you would like. Again, this is going to show all of your items here. Right. And then I'm just going to go ahead and just start clicking a few other items just at random here, just so we can start to build this out a little bit. Add in a couple of rugs and additional lighting fixture. Okay. So first, add in a few items. When it comes to now putting this, organizing it in a way that's more like visually appealing to your client, we're going to go ahead and just start creating new sections. So I'm going to create a new section here. And I'm going to go ahead and title this one Rugs. And then I'm just going to go ahead and drag and drop those items here. So I'm going to go ahead and just move this over to Rugs. So that way we can start to, again, just make sure we're streamlining all of this. So I'm going to move that to Rugs. We're going to also now create a separate one for seating. So I'm going to go to create new section. And I'm going to type in seating. I'm going to go ahead and just pull all of these items in. All right, and then I'm going to create one more where we're going to place these lighting fixtures. So I'm going to go ahead and move here. We're going to select lighting. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up those items to this section. And then bring this one up as well. So everything has a place. Okay, great. Great. So we created 3 sections from those items: so lighting, seating, rugs. You can create as many sections as you would like, whether it be down to like the hardware, things like that. But again, just mainly wanted to show you how to organize everything from here. You can also bring in, as I was mentioning before, like a mood board that you've worked on. So if I scroll down, I'll go through and actually show you how to assign one, and then we'll head back here. But you can also pull in floor plans. We also have brand catalogs as well. So depending on your region, we have like a Home Depot integration where you could also pull in items easily and scrub through their items that they have. So, and if you also have a Pro Extra account, you'll be able to see custom pricing as well. So again, just giving you all the ways that you can quickly pull in items. So say, for instance, I wanted to add in additional lighting features. I could go to lighting. I'm going to go to accent lighting. Okay, you can see these are more novelty, but again, lots of different options that you can pull into. So I'm actually going to go to chandeliers just to stay on theme here. And then once this adds in, I'm going to pull it into lighting, and we'll be able to branch off from there. So I know it's taking a second to load right here. I know this is my computer. If not, we'll go into another section. Okay, I'm going to go ahead into lamps here, and then we're going to go ahead and pull one in. And I'm going to actually drag and drop this way. So the other times I went and I clicked into it, but if you want to specifically drag it into a certain section, you can do that as well. So that way you can avoid having to go back and forth. But again, different ways we can pull in items. You could also add in additional images as well. So if you have a certain image that you want to attach, you can do that. And you can also bring in actual files as well. So again, different things. So that way you can keep everything in one place. And then once you have everything set up, so this was kind of showing you how to pull it in. But I'm going to also navigate back into our selection board again, just to be able to show you a different one that I have built out. So this one's living room. I had one that I had beforehand for kitchen, just so you can kind of see something a little more built out. I want to make sure we're using the most effective use of our time. So this is one where I have a mood board pulled in. I also have the layout and the 3D floor plan that I created through Houzz here as well. So this is a really common setup for a lot of pros, is to be able to start at the top with like the visual, the inspiration for the space, and then also the layout. Down below, you can see I had additional sections. So cabinetry, flooring, solid surfaces, electrical. So again, a little more robust than the one that I just went through to quick create. But again, great way to be able to keep everything in one space. So from here, we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to kind of go into this a little bit deeper. So from here, a couple of things that we can do. One, take a look at the item overview. So if you want to make an adjustment, even in this space, so this is, again, pulling in the information that we had when we clicked in these items, but you could still go through and make any adjustments to the information that you would like. Okay. Next is a product link. So when you clip an item or when you add a link to one of your items, it's going to include a product link there. This is going to really help when you do send this out, which we'll go through in a moment, for your clients to be able to click into that link if you would like them to. So again, that way they can see it, go and look at the actual product source. Again, there's a way that you can turn this off as well, but we add it there by default. Okay, and then more. So different things you can do is change the sizing. So say you wanted to highlight like one item on this section more than others, you can go ahead and create this and have this be the focal point and adjust this any which way you'd like. I'm going to go ahead and switch that back. You can fit image to width. So again, if you want to really expand, you don't want to have that border, you can fine tune that. You can also add to certain sections from here. So if you didn't want to have to keep dragging and dropping, you could also easily move an item to a new section as well. So if I want this to actually be in the appliances section, I can easily move that over. You can set as cover image. So say if I want this to be like the main cover image just in general for the selections board, we're on that main page, you can do that from here. You can hide from client, and this would be useful if you just want this to be something that's seen by your team member that you're working with. You don't want this to be added or necessarily for your client. You can hide the item. You can duplicate the item, move the item again, or you can just remove it from the board or from the project completely. Okay, another cool feature that we have is this commenting feature. So this is a way to keep in communication with your clients and your team. So a big use case, say for instance, you want to collaborate with your team or someone on your team is working on this. You can add comments back and forth. So the team member could add a comment here saying, connected with the client, these are the options, like this one in particular, the pro is torn between like 2 different shades or things like that. So again, you can go back and forth, collaborate with your team on this, and you can also collaborate with your client. So say you do send this out, if you choose to share this with them and give them access, they'll be able to add comments back of, hey, really love this. Like, do they happen to have it in, this shade or this material? That way you can, again, keep all of that communication really easy and also organized, so you know exactly where it's coming from. So again, 2 really great collaboration tools when it comes to the selections board. All right. We're going to go ahead and move forward. One note I wanted to touch on too, which is great before we send this out, is we want to assign a budget. This is, again, going to make sure that we are keeping that client on track. And that way, like as they're going through and approving and potentially declining items, they can see what's going to keep them in track. That way we don't get into a field where they, loved all these items and they're like, then we have to go back and say, oh, like, we've hit budget. This will be able to give them that visibility, which is really great. So if I go to the top and I click on preview and share, okay, I'm going to navigate to the top here. So I'm going to go to the viewing settings. And from here, this is where we can adjust what that client's going to be able to see and not see. So at the top, it's going to say show item pricing. So if you want to say, like, maybe you have like your own pricing, you don't want them to see this right at bat, you can just remove that entirely from them. You can also, if you don't want to give them a budget, you just want them to be able to go through and just approve as many items as they would like. You can also choose to show budget or not. You can see here, it's going to adjust as we make these, as we filter these settings. Item details you can adjust, so show quantity, show description, color, materials, show product link. So that's where I was mentioning, if you don't want the client to see the product links and you just want it for your own reference, you can just make sure that this one isn't selected. And then approvals. So this is, you can allow approvals for products, mood boards, floor plans, and images and files. So ultimately all the items within the selection board itself. So you can adjust what you want them to have that capability for. Okay, and then down below, again, you'll be able to take a look and see exactly what's on here, again, before sending it out. And then from here, on the top right-hand side, this is where you'd go ahead and share. You also have an option to export as a PDF or download a tear sheet. Okay, and then you would just make sure that it should auto-populate your client's email there if you have them set as a client in the project, but you can also adjust this. We have a default messaging here, but you can, of course, adjust this as well. You can send a copy to your email, and then you can also just copy a link as well to be able to send it this way. Say, for instance, you want to send it to a few people. It's just easier to do it as a link versus through email. You also have an option to do that as well. Okay. And then again, if you did just want to export this as a PDF, or maybe you are seeing them in person, you also have the option to do that as well through here. All right. Okay, and we're good on questions on this section so far, Kim?
Yeah, there's no hot questions that I haven't answered. But if you guys have questions about selections, now's your time, because we will keep moving. There's all kinds of other stuff to cover. Someone asked, I think it was Sophia, about recordings. I should have mentioned that at the top. You will get the recordings to all of this. They will be sent out. I think we're going to clean them up a bit with editing, so you'll get them shortly. But if you have questions, please throw them in the Q&A tab, please.
Okay. So I'm actually going to go back into that one that I was creating here. So I know the one we're just looking at already had approvals, but again, this is similar to what it would look like for the client when you send this out. So you'll be able to say up top, I'm going to create my budget for this particular, let's say for the living room, we are going to move this to 30,000. You can choose to include tax if you'd like as well, or at least mention that. So I'll click done. So now we have our budget here. And so just to kind of show you the functionality of it, as the client goes through and they start approving, so say I'm acting as a client, I'm going to click approve. They'll be able to see this progress bar up top. So they can see like with, well, of course, this was a high price item, but as they go through and make the approvals and adjustments, things like that, they'll be able to see how the budget's moving up top. So I'm just going to keep going here and approving. And this is going to be able to, again, give that visibility ahead of time. So they'll be able to see, again, if they're getting really close to that budget, they can say, okay, maybe I need to make some adjustments, or they will leave a comment, or they can reach out to you and let them know like, hey, I actually really do want, both of these items, and I'm okay if we're able to kind of flex on the budget there. So again, just really good insight for your clients. And you'll be able to see this as well. So when you then receive this and the client is finished reviewing the selections board, you'll be able to go through just like this and be able to see what has been declined, what has been approved, and see everything really streamlined. So again, just want to make sure I could kind of show that functionality. So I think it's going to be like a really big save versus having to, as mentioned, send multiple products through like a text, and then you have to wait for them to respond, and then, can cause a lot of confusion. So this would hopefully save a lot of time with that entire flow. Okay, so from here, so we're at the stage. We sent this out to the client. They've gone through and they reviewed it. We also have a selections tracker as well. So let me go ahead and navigate back to our selections board. There's different ways you can access it. So one, from that main project bar on the left-hand side under selections tracker, or you can toggle back and forth from the selection board itself. So here up top, this was our landing page. We were on boards. We also have the tracker as well that we can take a look at. So this will be really similar to say if you're utilizing like a spec sheet right now, this is ultimately going to be a way that you can now just like do this and have it automatically tied to that selection board. So again, saving an extra manual step of having to download one or create one and have to do it all manually. So you'll see here, it's going to pull in all of the items that we were utilizing in that board in a fine layout. And this is ultimately going to help you keep track of the status of your items along the way. Also, as we go through, which I'm going to show you in just a moment here, how it's going to relate to now the documents that are in the system. It's going to help you keep track of like shipping financials, order tracking, all those fun things in one place, and be able to do it seamlessly, again, without having to manually put this all together, write it down. This will be able to help save you a little bit of steps. So we're going to dive back into this, but I kind of want to be able to go back and forth to show you how it connects. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to that selections board, and I'm actually going to convert it so I can show you how some of these things track. So let's go back to the boards here up top. And I'm going to go ahead and go into this, this kitchen board that we have here. Okay, and at the top right, you may have noticed this option that shows convert. So I'm going to go ahead and click convert, and we are going to now move this directly into an estimate. You can choose either an estimate or an invoice. So again, you'll see a big theme with Houzz Pro is we like to keep everything really connected, help you save steps of having to do things, manually or from scratch. So you have your selections board, great. You can just convert it to an estimate automatically here. You can go through and you can determine which ones you want to be included, which is really helpful. So say you want to select all the items that were in here and then approved. You'll see a note here that, again, if an item was in a decline status, or if it was like previously associated with a document, it's already been invoiced for, things like that, it's not going to show here. Again, we want to make sure that we're invoicing or setting an estimate for those that were approved or that haven't already been associated with a financial document. Okay, you can go through both boards here. So this is the kitchen one. I selected all. So I want to also select everything from the living room board. You can do that as well. For now, I'm just going to do everything in the kitchen. And we're going to click convert 18 items. And it's also going to show you an overview of the bottom of what that total is for all the items here. So just giving you that extra reminder of what that will look like. Okay, and we're going to click convert. And now it's going to create, again, a wonderful estimate for you to work off of. If you were in a earlier session or day one academy, you would be able to see like a full breakdown of estimating, but this is just like another way when it comes to like this flow of how you can also create an estimate directly from a selection board. So from here, you'll be able to see all those items that we just converted over from our kitchen, along with associated details. So the unit quantity, unit price, all itemized out, and you can adjust this as needed. A really quick way to be able to make sure we get this out. Right now I have a default tax. So when I was utilizing my selection board, I had opted again to not include tax on that board. But again, for my financial document setting, I do have a tax associated here. So that's going to filter into the total. And then from here, again, I'll be able to have the full layout. I can create a payment plan or a payment layout for the client, add my terms and conditions, memo files, and signature. I'm going to go ahead and don't want to lay too much here or spend too much time here, but I'm just going to ultimately go through and I'm going to just approve this really quickly manually. So of course, this will typically be done by a client, but for the sake of kind of showing this, I'm going to go ahead and create an estimate. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to head now back into that selections tracker to kind of show you how it reads the financial documents through Houzz Pro. So I'm going to go to selections tracker. Okay. And then now we're going to be able to see that it's now associated with a file. So beforehand, we had document with nothing here, and now we're going to be able to see an associated document status attached to this. So if I look down below and I look at just the items in kitchen that we're looking at before, so I'm going to filter, and I'm going to filter by room. And I just want to take a look at those ones from the kitchen that I created that estimate for. So I'm going to go to kitchen, and I'm going to click apply. Okay, and now you can see that it automatically linked that estimate that we're working off of. That way you have a really quick reference. So again, it moved to like a general blank or draft stage, and now you can see that there's an associated document link to it, which you can then reference. So if I click into this document, it's gonna, or into that link, it's gonna bring me to the document that it's linked to. So that way I have a really, really quick reference. And this is going to, and this will ultimately like adjust throughout. So if I go, if I then invoice this XYZ, you'll be able to see all those status updates on it as well. So again, that's why I wanted to go back and forth through it to show you again how it's going to kind of automatically read. That way it helps you skip some steps. Of course, you can add this manually, but it'll then show you this checklist throughout. So you can see that it has an estimate created. Once we convert that to an invoice, you'll see that the invoice is checked off, a change order, purchase order, all the things. So that way you can keep track of all the products and what stage they're at with your journey and your documents. Other things that you can do in here, again, is additional details. So these are automatically populated when I click the items that it's associated with my kitchen board. And then also I have this under my lighting category, as we mentioned. You can associate this with a specific vendor if you don't already. But again, depending on the information you had when you clicked and when you set up your selection board, it should auto-populate for you here. You'll also now see the financials tab starting to populate. So now that we have an estimate associated with these items, you'll now be able to see, again, the monetary value or financials that are tied to it as well individually here. So you can see this has already been approved. So now this is now this will be reflected in green. That's what's going to be attached to this.
So since we're talking about Marcella had a question about shipping costs. Where does shipping costs show up?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So right here on the right-hand side, so you're going to see shipping financials right here. So this is where you can then easily go populate what that looks like. You can add a markup. And you can see kind of as I'm going, it's going to rotate up top. So this is the cost, this is the markup, and this is the ultimate price. And
then when the customer approves, sorry, I keep talking over you, I apologize. And when the customer approves the item, Where does that cost go? The cost goes towards the budget, but not the shipping cost, correct? Like it keeps it separate?
Correct. Yes. Right.
Lovely. Thank you. All right, you guys, this is the time to get into the deep weeds on all these questions, just like Marcella did. If you have questions, throw them in.
And then you can also add additional specifications. So materials, dimensions, color. Again, this would have pulled into if I had to clip that specifically. But you can also make adjustments to this. Same with manufacturer and SKU. So you can see here for like this piece that I clipped in, I did add that information beforehand. So you can see that it's added here. And then for order tracking, this is the one that we'd want to go through and actually mark an update on your own. This one wouldn't necessarily have an auto-populated order tracking, but you can still go into your items as you go, set up your purchase orders and get everything to be able to add your statuses here really quickly. So a similar process as if you were using a spec sheet, except you don't have to actually go through and write it down. You can just go ahead and just click this drop down and add your status of where it's at.
And can you also show shipping costs prior to approvals? Like if the client wanted to see, oh, I don't know, how much would this cost to get it to my house landed? Like before a client approves it, they can see the fully burdened cost.
Right. So it would be something I would most likely know, or something that I would do maybe on like the estimate phase. So again, as far as like shipping on like the item itself, because if I go back, let me go back to the board here to show you what will populate. And I go to kitchen. Okay, and then we're going to go to the item. So again, it's going to pull in the price that we had when we were going through the item itself. So that's what primarily will be there. If anything, we would just want to then like adjust the pricing on this to be more so inclusive of that. So if I go down here, we can add it. It just they may not be able to see it like right at the top. So I've already sent this as an estimate, but if it was like a new item, I can add this and I can add like the shipping cost here. I already have this mark. So let me go into the one that I haven't sent yet. So let me go back to my selections board. Okay, and then living room. And again, may have a solve. I just want to make sure I fully understand the question. So let me actually go to this one right here. And we're going to go and edit. Okay, so down below under financials. So again, the other is more difficult because the other one I already had an estimate for. But in this item here, I could then like add that shipping cost like per item. So it would be like on a per item basis. Like they wouldn't see like an itemized total that says like this is what it is for like all the items and this is like the full shipping like in this layout. But you could within like the item itself add like a specific shipping cost. So yes, individually they could go through and see that like per item, if that makes sense.
And can you add shipping cost after the client approves it?
No. So similar to when I was in that other board, it does like once it's actually associated with an approved estimate or like once it's on an estimate, you wouldn't be able to go into the selections board to add it because it already has an associated estimate. So if it already has something tied to it, because like that's something that the client's seen, we wouldn't want to then practically go and like change it, and it'd be a little difficult to read into the estimate that way. But from the selection board base, if it's already been associated with a sent estimate or approved estimate, especially, you wouldn't be able to go through. So want to make sure we have that before the client approves it or before we have it converted to an estimate.
Okay, great.
Okay. Heading back, we're going to go to the selections tracker again. Okay, so a couple other nuance items on here is going to be looking at the top right hand. So from here, this is just a different way that you can view it. So this is stacked. You can also view it, again, more so with like more condensed, but I always recommend staying in the stack. That way you can see everything. And then you can also adjust the views. So say there are a few columns that are going to mean like the most to you and your workflow. You can also drag and drop. So this is like how it defaults. But say you want to make sure that like financials is up top, you can scroll that up and it will move it in that direction. You can also toggle through what's seen throughout. So for like the financials tab, for example, there are a couple items that show within this. If you say you only want to really show like the unit cost and markup, you could then go and you can toggle off some of these other items here. Just again, if you want to clean up your the columns. So again, you can drag and drop. And again, throughout, you can choose what you want to see. So if you don't really show specifications, if you don't want this for like order tracking purposes, which again, I know it's like the main one, you can still go and toggle off what's needed. You can also add a new field as well. So say you want like an additional filter for shipping, you can click add new. And we're just going to add in shipping. You can choose what type of field it is. So if it's a text field, something you just want to check off, single select. So all those things. So we can say like field name, expedited shipping. And this just shows like that for the item if it was like available, and you can do checkbox and save. And say
another question from Marcella about adding shipping costs.
Uh-huh.
When you add shipping costs, it increases the overall budget, correct? It adds it to the total budget.
Right. Mm-hmm. Correct.
Just confirming. Okay, you're good, Marcella.
Okay. So I saved this, and again, it's going to ultimately just then take in those pieces and adjust it. If I go back again, so that was up top. Just if anyone missed it, under this little filter, customize view section, we can go through and make those adjustments as needed. So again, document status up top, anything that we need, and then we'll click save. Now you can see it'll move accordingly. Okay. We also have some export options as well. So again, I know that everyone will utilize this in different ways, but if you wanted to download as an Excel, you can do that. One thing with downloading as Excel is it's not going to pull the images, it'll pull like the base information. You can also download as a PDF, and you can also download as a tear sheet as well. So I'm going to see if I can pull this up and show you an example of what that looks like. But it'll ultimately be like a viewpoint that's a little different than this that will still capture those visuals. So we can see if we can reference that in a moment here. Second. Okay, so again, this is the tear sheet that would come from it, where you'd be able to, again, send this out, and it's going to show everything itemized as far as like the pieces to be able to utilize, and you can also share with your client this way. So again, just a great way to be able to kind of pull some of the visuals out really seamlessly. All right. Also different views to keep this organized. I know some of which I was showing you before, but you can filter through and you can decide how we're viewing this. So say you only wanted for kitchen or living room, depending on your boards, and maybe you wanted to do both, you can do that. It's going to pull in all the information. You can also go by approval status. So if you only want to see the items that were approved, you don't really, you're going to kind of do nothing with the ones that were declined. You can just mark as approved and apply. You can go by document status. So say you want to take a look at all of the items that have an estimate and an invoice attached. You can filter through there, or maybe only the ones with the purchase order. For type, you can go by service or product. By category. So if you just want to take a look at the appliances, only want to take a look at the cabinet door style that we had in, you can do that as well. You can go by order status, because this is a really big one. So if you just want to take a look at all of the items that have been delivered, you can go ahead and select delivered, and you can also filter by vendor. Okay, heading over to the organize tab. So this is if there was like a certain way you wanted to like organize it by. Right now it's like in just like a general layout, but you could also organize it by category, room, vendor, approval status, as far as like the top to bottom view of the doc. And you can also sort as well. So right now I have it. It's going to default to created at newest to oldest, and that's what's coming here, you can also adjust by just like title. Say you want to have this alphabetically shown, you can do that as well. So again, all the different layouts views, so that way you can really manage this effectively. Okay, glad we're good on questions. All right, I'm going to go ahead and keep on going and head back into our documents. And I do want to be able to go through just ways from that estimate that you can create purchase orders, change orders, and all of those things as well. Okay. Oh, actually, one last thing I wanted to touch on this is that we also have ultimately like a global tracker as well. So right now we're looking at the boards and the trackers associated with just this project that I'm in. But say you wanted to take a look at holistically, all of the items, like from all of your selections board in your projects, you could also do that here. So I could go to all selections board, and it's going to show me all of the boards that I've created along all the projects that I've had. So you can see the ones that we were just working out of, but I also have a few others that I have from other projects that you can reference all at once as well. And we're going to go to estimates now up top. All right. And then we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go into that one we're working on. So this will, of course, show you all of your estimates, but I do have this one that has been approved that we're working off of from the selection board. Okay, so from an approved estimate, a couple of things that you can do from here. So if I go to actions, there's going to be three main things that we can filter automatically from this estimate. And that's creating an invoice, and that's creating a change order and a purchase order. So the two big ones that I want to take a look at are change order and purchase order. Starting with change order, of course, that's going to be something that's going to happen within a project, especially for larger projects. You have something sent out in the estimate, and there's something that happens along the way. You need to either make a change to the quantity of an item, the price of an item, or just add something in altogether. So if we go ahead, there's a couple ways. You can either create a change order up top, or you can also specify the items that you want to create a change order for. So if I go to, say we need to make an adjustment to these first few pieces here, we can go ahead and select. We're going to click create change order. Okay, and it's going to create a similar branded document. So we try to keep all the documentation and branding really streamlined across all the forms. That way it's a little more uniform. But from here, you're going to be able to see now a change order for those two items. So at the top, you can see what was planned and what's been updated, where you'd go and make those edits. So say there was originally, we needed 12 of these pieces. We're going to go ahead and we can just move this and say like now we need 15 pieces. Oops. There we go. And then it's going to show again the adjusted, the new pricing, and then ultimately down it'll show the adjusted pricing at the very bottom. You can do that for both items. So we're going to we'll move this one to 12. Okay, and then as we make these changes, the pricing is going to adjust as well. Also something that you could do from here. So say you needed to make those two changes, you can also then add a new item from this same change order, which is a newer capability. So if I wanted to go through, we also need to add, a piece of hardwood flooring. You can also create a new item from here as well. You can add any new item that you need to as well. So again, really big piece. That way you can have something really formalized. We also just want to make sure that we're, capturing signatures too for everything that's changed. So from here, it'd be really similar layout to the estimate where you'd be able to make a payment schedule for this as well. Especially if it's like a larger change order, we still want to make sure that we have, good payment options for clients as well. Okay, and then on the right-hand side, we can have a similar view to as you would for an estimate. Is you'd be able to preview the document beforehand, and then we'd be able to make sure we have here that we capture a signature. And this is all done through the settings section. So similar to all the documents that we have, including our selections board, you'll be able to view what the client can see before we actually send it. Make sure we have that preview. So right now I'm opting to show detailed pricing. You can choose what columns are shown or not, the item details. If you want to add a payment, if you're utilizing online payment through Houzz, again, I highly recommend. And then the approval. So to make sure this is selected, that way we are sending out and getting an actual signature on it, which again, I also recommend with any documents, forms, changes, that we get everything within signature in writing. Okay, then you would go ahead and you would send this out to the client. Similar sending format for a lot of our tools and documents. And then you can also copy the link as well if you want to send it that way. You can attach the PDF in the email sent, and you can also send to email and text if the client's opted in. Okay, you could also up top download as a PDF or just a quick copy link here to be able to send it out really, really seamlessly. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to head back again to that estimate that we're working out of. And we're going to go and create a purchase order. So similar format, we can create a purchase order from the top. We can also do so itemized. So say you wanted to create a purchase order for these few items here. Go ahead and select what we need. We'll click create purchase order. Okay, it's going to have you select a vendor. So we want to make sure that we have all this aligned. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and just match it. So for this purchase order, these are all going to go to the same vendor. And that's probably a similar flow that you may have, is that we want to purchase order and select all the items are going to that particular vendor. And then create purchase order. If you did have different vendors selected, it's going to then create like separate purchase orders. But right now we're going to keep everything streamlined and create purchase order from here. Okay, and you'll see, again, really similar document than that change order, and keeping everything really streamlined and uniform. From here, you'll be able to, again, make any edits or views that you want to make sure that your vendor can see. So it's going to pull in the main information. You can track statuses through here if you'd like, and make any adjustments to the columns, so forth. So if I go to customize, you can choose, again, if you want the item description shown, which columns you want to be able to have on here as well. This will be like for your visibility and also just for the visibility of your vendor. But we do try to make everything here as customizable as we can. So that way, again, we're making sure we're fitting this to your particular business's needs. Okay. Okay. And then from here, you can add any additional files that you want to make sure that that your vendor is able to see as well. You can just review up top which vendor this is being sent out to. Add all of your payment terms, bill date, due date. It also will show you that linked doc when you create like a branch off document from something. So like we created this like from the estimate, you'll be able to see all the linked documents in here as well. And then we're going to go ahead and preview similarly. And then you can go through, update the settings as with the other features here, decide what's shown to the vendor. So again, for some columns that are there, you may just want for your own visibility. You may not want the vendor to necessarily see them. So you can choose, again, what they can actually see on that purchase order, all the main things that they need, and leave the rest for you to just be able to visually use and track. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead. We'll just go ahead and click send. And then you can go ahead and send to your client. Similarly, you can also attach a PDF in the email, and you can also just create like a quick copy link if you'd like as well. And you can send this out to your vendor, or as mentioned, you can download and print and share with them in person as well. So, as a recap, we went through clipping an item, we went to selections board. We also just took a look at the selections tracker, the global selections board, walk through how to create an estimate, as well as creating a purchase order and change order. Something I want to kind of travel back to is we're going to go into that same sample project, and we're going to go back into the selections tracker. Okay, and we're just going to let this load. So I kind of wanted to give an update. So now that we've gone through, we've made a change order, a purchase order utilizing the same items, you'll now be able to see the document status has changed. So up top, you can see some that just had the estimate, but you can also now see those items where we did send a purchase order for. We have a change order that's linked as well. So again, just wanted to kind of be able to show again how everything's reading, interacting as we go through and we're building everything out. So you can now then effectively track, again, those items from here. And then if you had any adjusted statuses, so like within say this, an item that's been had a purchase order attached to it, if they've gone through and you marked that as like delivered, then it would also track here too. So again, wanted to kind of circle back here to be able to show you how everything, again, will continue to be tracked effectively through here. Okay. All right, we have a little bit of extra time. So I do want to be able to maybe touch on mood boards and really quickly some other visual tools as this does relate directly to the selections board. So we go through and we're going to go back to the same project we were in, and I'm going to run through mood boards. So I'm going to go ahead and head on the left-hand side. We're going to go to mood boards. And we'll head into this one. So this is one that I had already made, but I'll be able to show you just some extra functions with this. So I know myself that I am not a designer, but this is just like a visual of how you can kind of pull things in, build them out. So starting on the top right-hand side, going back to clipped items. Again, another big topic. So we started off clipping items. This is also just another space where you can be able to bring them in automatically. So you'll see here, it can show what's already been assigned to the kitchen. So this is right now reading that selections board that we've created. So you can see these are the items that I had specifically added to that kitchen area in my selection board. But you'll also be able to see items that aren't associated with any rooms, which right now would be none because we've already had them assigned. And then we'd be able to see just all of the items in your library. So these were the two items that we clipped earlier or at the very beginning, which is that chandelier and that sofa. So you can still view all the items in your library. But again, as you're going through other features like we were in the selections board, you can see those items populate here, easy for like really quick reference or really quick access. Okay. You can also view on the right-hand side that brand catalog too that I was showing you before, which is the Home Depot catalog to pull in items this way. You can also source items directly from Houzz. We do have our a marketplace as well where we have items that you can directly source from too, if you utilize or if you're part of our trade program on Houzz. You can pull in information here really easily. So it's just clicking to an item and having it pull on over. So you can do that really seamlessly. Okay. And then idea books as well. So if you're, again, really active on Houzz and you've gone through and you create your own idea books, you can also pull those visuals as well. So say you're going through trying to get inspiration, you can also pull those images in if you have an idea book created. You can add your own images as well. So if you say you want to upload your logo, something that's really specific, or your own pictures, maybe you took a picture of a space or of a material in the store you were looking at, you can of course add your own images for inspiration. Another cool feature is going to be the paint color swatches that we have. So we do partner with Sherwin-Williams as well as Benjamin Moore. So that way you can pull in real life swatches into this to be able to give that client a better picture. So if I just pulled one here, I'm just going to go ahead and click into it, and it'll pull up a swatch for you that you can customize and modify as needed as far as sizing. Okay, and again, that was Sherwin-Williams and Benjamin Moore. You can easily navigate through the colors, or if you're already familiar, have some that you're working with already, you can search by name. And then also any 3D plans that you've worked on within this project as well. So you can easily add a layout. So if I wanted to click there, I could also give a visual. So I could add in, an image of the inspiration. I can add like the layout, anything you want to do to be able to give your client a better look at this. And then within the mood board itself, I can just go ahead and on my keyboard, click delete or just remove from this quick option here. Again, you can reformat the sizing as needed. You could also, if I navigate to the top here, a couple of things we can do. One is, of course, add like a text space, which I did right here for like the demo residence kitchen. We can move if we want to select or if we want to pan, and then zoom to center. So if we wanted to just really have like the extra zoom options, you can do that as well. Main things are going to be the draw functionality. So say you wanted to like add something specifically, I'm just going to add like a little swivel here, but of course you can go through and make adjustments. You can make markups and things like that if that's easier for you to have. You can add, so say we want to add like a viewpoint, like an arrow to something specific that we want to add on here. So maybe we want to draw attention to like this particular hardware on this lighting fixture. You can do that as well. And adjust the shape to just a line or an arrow and just the coloring on it. Same with like rulers. If you wanted to be able to show like dimensions, we could go down here. Say I wanted to show the sizing of this cabinet. I can go there, add in all my specifications. That way the client can see this. And so forth. So lots of different things we can do. We could also, like within an image itself, let me go and use this one here. For example, we can easily duplicate the item, flip it, crop. We also do have a really cool feature as well. Let me go ahead and move this in, which is edit background, which you may see in other tools, but it's really great if you have a product that you want to pull in that already has like a background on it. So I think this one just had a white background to start, but if you do have, maybe you just really want to make sure that you're not pulling in that like white background, you want to really just focus on the item itself. We can also do that here. So I recommend we have an AI powered tool, although you can go through and manually trace what you want to cut off. We do have that, which will automatically then scrub the background for you, which you can see here. But if needed, you can go through and you can manually, erase certain sections and restore. But again, highly recommend utilizing that AI tool for this. And then click apply. So again, that's just a really great way to be able to really hone in on your items. We can also skew an item, and this is mainly for dimensions. So maybe not the best item to be able to use this on, but if you wanted to, I'm gonna just remove this so you can kind of take a look. If you wanted to kind of skew, let me actually pull in maybe a rug here. I think that will give you a better visual. One second here. Okay, so I'm just gonna go and just find a recent rug that I pulled in here. And I'm gonna let this load. Okay, then I'm gonna go back into skew. And from here, you can take the endpoints and be able to, like, so say we wanted to kind of really capture like a hallway or something of that sense, you can really show that through the skew option and just be able to give a more immersive view. And you can also, so if I go to, let's say I go to this item here and I want this to be up top, I can go to order and I can go ahead and bring to front. So that way now it's over that carpet here. So again, just another way we can start to kind of like work and navigate through the mood board, make it as immersive and lifelike. Say you really want to like set the stage of like a bedroom or whatever space that you're in. That's going to allow you to make sure that we can do that visually. Okay, and then aside from order, again, it would be another space where we could delete an item as well. So again, different ways you can customize this for your business. Also down below, we now have an option to have multiple pages as well within one project. Instead of having to create like a bunch of like separate mood boards, you can just have it now all in one space under different pages. So if you want to have one for kitchen, you want to add a new page, for living room, you can do that and create all the pages that you need here as well to keep everything really organized. And again, by room. So again, different things you can do in here, but really just to be a space where you can customize everything. And then as mentioned, then once you're ready to go in your selection board, you can also directly pull in the mood board that you've been working on into that space as well. Okay, we have a little bit of extra time. Are we okay on questions, Andy?
We have a new question. This is about creating estimates.
Okay.
We use Xactimate for insurance negotiations. Once we receive the estimate from insurance, what is the most efficient way to build our estimate in Houzz Pro without having to go item by item typing all the information?
Okay, yeah. So different ways to, and I guess to, well, and correct me if I'm not interpreting this right, but I'll kind of go through an overview of different ways we can bring in estimates or create an estimate through Houzz. So I'm going to go back to my sample project, and we're going to go to estimates. And of course, it'll depend on your specific workflow too. But I would recommend you could even utilize the estimates tool here to use, like, and then send out from here to your to like insurance and things like that. And then you'll be able to continue to work off of it from here. So that's like what I'd recommend as like a first step. But if you are coming from another way, a couple ways we can just make estimates in general without having to pull them in. One thing that you could do is, and depending on your items, is we have a few options. So if you wanted to just like pull it in, you have an option to like bring it in as like a PDF, and you could still send like for signature on it. It wouldn't be necessarily editable, but you can still add that in to be able to make sure we can capture a signature from there. You can also, we have a feature now, create with AI. So again, just depends on like the format of your estimate right now. But say for instance, you had the information on an Excel sheet. Like one thing you could do is hit create with AI. And you could go through and say, create an estimate with the following data. And then you can pull in the information from your, from like that spreadsheet on the estimate. And you can paste it here. I'm going to say again, create estimate with the following information. You can copy and paste that into here as well. So that's potentially one option. Also, it's great about this, and depending, of course, on the workflow, if you are using like similar models for your estimates, and then you go to actions, you can go and you can save all of your estimates as a template for future use. So that's going to be a great way to do that as well. Other things that could potentially just help in general too is there's ways to be able to add in, like if you have like certain like parts and categories that you're used to utilizing, you could also pull them in here. So if I go back to my library and go to my items, and then you go to import, you can also, if you have like an Excel or a CSV with like parts or items that you commonly use, you can also import them. That way you can like quickly access them into like your estimate as well. But again, lots of different things. That's more of a general without being able to see like your exact documents and workflow. But those are just like a couple of different ways that you can create an estimate or bring information over quickly. But that's a good question. Again, it's hard to see without having like the exact document. But again, all the different ways that we can pull that in. Okay. Great. If you'd like, I can spend a few more moments just going through estimates if everyone's curious. So let me go back. I know we just briefly touched on it. I'm going to go back to estimates here. Okay. And then I'm going to go to new estimate. Again, went through a few of the ways to upload from template from create with AI. And I can actually just show you how to use this in general. Even though I don't have a file, I can show you how it can be used in general to be able to create a really quick estimate. So what I could do is I could just like type into this feature, and I could just say, create an estimate for a bathroom remodel. And I always recommend putting in the zip code, so that way it can help as far as like pricing materials. So I'll say 94301, and I'll say generate items with AI. You can also like to have like voice to text too, so you can say out, and you can also do this through our app, which is great. And then it's going to take a few moments to be able to just capture and build that out. And ultimately, again, we'll like scrub the internet, all the resources we can find to find, general, like the best items like for that prompt and for that area. And you can see here, it kind of gives its own layout. So demolition, plumbing, electrical, like some of the main things we may need from a bathroom remodel. And it's a really great basis to start from. If you're unsure, you're starting out and you're just not sure, you want to pull in the information easily for an estimate, you can do that. Again, it'll be general pricing that it's like scrubbed at like averages based off of like what it could find on the internet. But again, a really great basis to start working off of. And as mentioned, if you don't already have the Houzz Pro app, I recommend downloading it too. So that way you can do some of these things on the go. But other ways that you can pull in items once you're here is at the top. You can use this to be able to add additional items. So say you now want to add more items, or maybe you want to now add a couple things from like a kitchen remodel and add them here. You can also do so with here. You can also add to your items. So going back again to the very top about clipping items, ways you can utilize them. So you can also use them directly to pull it in from an estimate from scratch as well. If you didn't want to go with the flow of a selection board, then converting it to an estimate, you can just create an estimate and pull in the items that you would like from here. You can also, as mentioned, use those brand catalogs that we have to be able to pull in items really easily. So the Home Depot, and then we also have a general average price catalog that you can utilize as well. So this is also an AI feature where we scrub. This is more nationwide pricing though that comes through, and it gives different ranges. So if you want like a basis to start from, you can also utilize the brand catalog as well. And then we have templates that you can work off of, and you can also take a look at recent estimates. So different things you can do from here. And then at the bottom, as I briefly mentioned before, you can set up payment plans for your documents. So you can adjust the payment name, and you can add as many as you would need, or you or your client need. And then you can adjust the amount, due date, status. And as mentioned, we do have online payments you can utilize through Houzz and set up to be able to get paid directly. And then terms and conditions, memo, files. So all the things that you need to make sure that you have all the information for your client within one space. And just as we were running through earlier, you'd be able to preview and send. You can also create automations, which is great as well to help, again, stay on that theme of saving time. So next step, so you can automatically create an invoice when an estimate is approved, create a task when an estimate's overdue, client reminder, so email client a reminder to review an estimate, email client when an estimate is overdue, send your client an email reminder when estimate has an overdue payment, and then also send a thank you message after an estimate is approved. So being able to, again, skip the steps on some of these documents for these projects that you can set up through here as well. Okay, the last quick thing, since we have a little bit of extra time, I'm just gonna go through a couple other just design tools that you can utilize that we haven't already covered, and then extra resources, so that way you can make sure that you're set up for success even after this session. So on the, going back into the project, we went through selections board, selections tracker, we touched on 3D floor plans. We also have, or actually mood board, selections board, and I do want to touch on 3D floor plans as well, because it's also a really great tool that we have, especially if you are running the design or have a designer that you work with. So we do have templates that you can work off of, and recommend this if you're kind of just getting started in the program to be able to take a look at the functionality versus having to start from scratch. That's where I'm going to go to show you one right now. But I'm going to go just into bedroom templates. We have a few here that you can preview beforehand. I'm going to go ahead and click use template just to give you the visual. Right, and I'm going to give it a moment to load. And again, we'll run this a little quickly. I can just be mindful of time, but I just want to make sure I can give you guys a good idea of what this looks like. So right now, there's 3 different views we have for our floor plan. There's the floor plan view, dollhouse, and the walkthrough. So this is going to be, again, the bird's eye view. It's what it's going to look like when you're actually building out the estimate. I'm sorry, the floor plan itself. And then from here, this is where you'll go and you can adjust like your main structures, so ceilings, doors, windows. We also have general products that you can add in to continue to build out the floor plan. So whether it's, cabinets, general decor, kitchen products. You could also source items from our marketplace as well. If you wanted like a real life visual of an item, you can pull that in and use. And then if I skip over here, say to dollhouse view, this is going to be a little more immersive. So now adding that extra element and just really be able to give your client a good picture of the space and make them feel, as a part of it. From here is also where you can continue to kind of build out those design elements. So you can adjust the flooring here on the right-hand side. So if you want to do hardwood or, move from other materials you can use as well. Same with the walls. This is, going back where I mentioned those partnerships with like Sherwin-Williams and Benjamin Moore. You can also, bring in those paint now like to the actual space. So that way they can see what it looks like and be able to add that extra immersive experience for your clients. But we also have a wide variety of different materials and items that you can utilize. So say we wanted to utilize like wood slats for like an accent wall, you can do that as well. So lots of materials you can use to be able to customize the space and give your client really great visual. And then we also have a walkthrough view that you can use as well. So again, kind of adding that extra layer of making them really feel like they're in the space. And you can always go back and forth from all these views. So from floor plan, dollhouse to walkthrough. Other things that you can do is we also have like really photorealistic renderings you can utilize as well. So if you go to cameras on the right-hand side, you'll have an option to select like kind of what visual you want and click generate photorealistic images. So that's something else you can do too. But again, I wanted to make sure that we had some time to just give a really general overview of this because I think it's a really great tool that you have access to within the system. It's a great way to be able to make sure that we're pulling clients. And there's also various ways that we can create one, which I'll go through in a moment. One of the newest things that we introduced too, and again, trying to tie everything back to showing how things are connected. But as mentioned, when we started off, we went through clipping items. Now, as we've been really trying to utilize AI, we do have an option to convert main furniture pieces like sofa, chairs, bigger decorative items to 3D as well. So which is really great. So it brings up those items. So like say this sofa here, if I wanted to convert this to 3D, I'd have an option to do that. I'll go through and kind of map the item and then you can pull it in. So lots of great tools that we have within the 3D floor plan that you can utilize. You can also, heading back to the main page and jumping for a moment, is you can also, of course, create them from scratch. We have a scanning version as well. So if you do have an iPhone 12 Pro or up, we have LiDAR scanning that you can utilize where you can go through and use your phone to scan the walls, take measurements, and pull that into the system really quickly. You also, again, even if you have an Android, we still have a way that you can easily take measurements within like the app itself. And then we have an upload 2D plan as well. So if you have like a separate blueprint you want to bring in, but you do want to kind of build out your house, you'd be able to do so here. So you'd go to upload 2D floor plan, upload the file, and it will work with you depending on the plans to be able to help you convert that over to a space. So again, lots of great things. I wanted to make sure I know it was on the main agenda, but I wanted to make sure we could at least touch on it so that we can go through the full spectrum, beginning to end, clipping the items, where they can be utilized, how we can make sure that we have all the design components covered in this. And then now additional resources. So I know there's only so much that we could fit within this session. There's a lot more within the system that we wanted to touch on, but different things you can also utilize that we have in resources. So if we go to this question mark on the bottom left-hand side, you'll see a learn area. A couple of things I recommend. We do have a Houzz Pro certification that you can run through, and it's going to pretty much they give you a really good like workflow, things you can go through and kind of help you digest the system step by step and help you to become ultimately an expert. So starting with various different modules, the first one being getting started. So exploring your general account setup, payments, calendar integration, and all the way down. So if you're just starting on the platform and you're kind of trying to like navigate and digest it and figure out like what's a good workflow to kind of introduce this is always a really great place that I recommend starting. And within each feature, it shows like a video. So that way, you kind of have that hand in hand, and it's a really great self-guided learning opportunity. Also from here, we have additional Houzz Pro trainings as well. So we have deep dives that we regularly hold. We also have deep dives on specific features. So if you want to learn more about the 3D floor planner, other features too, you can access trainings from here and register. And then also we have a blog, but a really great help center that's going to help you be able to also take a look into some of these pieces a little deeper. So as mentioned, I know we didn't have as much time to go through mood boards and floor planner, but if you wanted to see more about this and watch videos, look at resources, ask a question in here, it's going to help find the best resource for you. But recommend utilizing all of these tools additionally than this. But I know we're just about at time. Any other questions, last minute notes, Andy?
We did have another question about purchase orders. Is there a way to set a default for what it shows internally? For example, if I always want it to show the photo.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So if it's just like the items that come through, then we would just do like the customization and then do like show images. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I know. Okay, it looks like we might be close at time. Any other questions?
No, I think we are good.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for attending. Hopefully this was helpful. And again, if I need to have any follow-ups, I'll reach out directly. But appreciate everyone. And again, hopefully this will kind of help you give a better direction of how to kind of streamline your workflow a little better.